Yeah, Nick. Man, we need to get some more friends in here before things turn into a porno. Am I right?
Bow, chicka, bow, wow.
No, that's enough, Nick. We're not going there today.
Where should we go?
I clicked the button and it failed to launch. So you know.
That would have been perfect, right?
Sir, I have a solid question for you.
Yes, sir.
That right there, Nick. I need to ask you. Can you be a little more interactive? So, like when I pause and it's an actual question, you just come in right there.
Sorry,
Wham.
I was waiting for you to ask the question. I'm trying to be polite. I'm like, okay, what's the question?
Fair enough. It's hard to
with your best shot.
No, fair enough, Nick. It is hard to, especially while communicating online, it's hard to know when a pause is appropriate or not, or when a response is not going to get talked over. I get that, and I'm sorry.
It's okay. I appreciate it. I understand where you're coming from, and I will do better.
That's all we can ask for, Nick. Truly, that's all we can ask for. All jokes aside, though, Nicholas, let's welcome our listeners while you take care of that weird splotch on your
shirt. I painted it in the shirt. It's a white paint.
Oh, okay. Are we sure about that?
It was messy. I'm not going to tell you what I was painting with. That's besides the point.
Well, hopefully, some sort of acrylic-based material that's not. I don't know.
It was viscous.
Wow, that's good. That doesn't help, guys. Welcome to Nerdentials, your weekly dose of the nerdy essentials covering film, TV, video games, and comic books. I'm your host, Joe Tweeden, and joining me across the way is my comrade in arms with a wonderful. He's taking psychology lessons. If you guys are watching YouTube, you would see that he has a sock puppet on his hand. Guys, welcome the Nick Thomas.
Heidi Ho, good neighbor.
Maybe you should ask your friend, Mr. Saki, because clearly you have not been to the clinic lately.
His name is Sako.
Oh,
get it right.
Sorry, I was jumping the gun on that one.
And he actually asked to not put him on camera because he's very shy.
Well, I'm glad we cleared that up. I am so sorry that I was trying to call him out and not you.
Yep. Okay. So
you guys can tell we're struggling not having a full crew here. Maybe we need to take a few more shots before we continue.
Struggling. There's a full crew here.
Oh shoot! You made it funny. An accurate assessment, actually, because you're right. This is the full crew tonight, guys. No, Matt, it will be back soon, and give out a quick shout out to Mr. Ryan. We know you have company, sir. We look forward to seeing you back soon, though, and we'll leave it at that.
We always say here at Nerdentials, what we do here is important, yes, but family and life must come first.
It's so weird because I always thought that this was my life. This is kidding. I'm kidding. I'm not trying to shame anyone at all. Yes, family comes first. I have an insanely amazing situation where I can commit to this more often than some, and there's no shame in those. And there's no shame in those that are not available on the regular.
Shame.
But guys, we've got a plethora, as Nick learned, not a disease, but something of many. Right, a plethora of topics to cover today and this week in our other podcasts. But guys, today is podcast episode 114, covering movie topics, a little bit of news, and a couple reviews, guys. So hope you're ready to rock and roll. We're gonna get this show on the road. Nicholas, first up, I do believe, though, I need to tell everyone about our new channel location real quick. Got to make some quick housekeeping here. Guys, we have transitioned the podcast and all podcast-related topics like reviews, trailer reactions, and this podcast itself are all now on a second channel called Nerdentials Podcast. Links are down below on this video. Links are down below on the original channel. Links are everywhere. Go check it out. Hit subscribe if you guys are more interested in just podcast shows and pop culture talk.
You get a link. You get a link. You get a link. Everyone gets a link.
We all get a link. Thank you, Nick.
We're the Oprah of links.
I appreciate your enthusiasm in this moment. It was well asserted and well deserved. Listeners, do what he says. Check out the links. And hope you guys enjoyed the show. And in light of this format and new channel and more focused topics, we've got Movie Matters on Mondays. We got our TV Talk on Wednesdays. I know that doesn't rhyme, sorry. And we've got our Gaming Bits on Fridays because it's jumping into the weekend, and we thought that was kind of the funnest time if you're a gamer to hop on the bandwagon of news-related topics and such. That being said, though, we are going to cover a little more news on each of these podcasts. And so to kick things off, guys, let's jump into, for Movie Matters anyway, the Weekly Dose. What's new this week? What did we discover at the time
New
of
this week
recording?
discovered, well, not too long ago, we covered a movie that we both watched that was about zombies. Very, hearkening to the old zombie movies.
I'm talking about Army of the Dead. Was
Army of the Dead, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It was actually a pretty good episode. Go back and watch it, guys.
It was actually just last week. It was last Monday, and so we're actually on target for a weekly schedule right now. So we're doing great. We're doing great. Last Monday, guys.
The news actually is related. Since that was based off of old George A. Romero content, and they were hearkening back to it and making sure that they paid homage to it, this next bit of news actually is directly connected.
I'd like to give because we're doing a lot more news, Nick, I just want to give actual date stamps for this. So today, guys, it's Monday the 5th, Monday the 5th. Happy after 4th of July to everyone out there, anyone in America anyway. But we got this news on July 2nd, so this was a Friday night when we read this news, right, Nick?
They're doing a live an adaptation of the original live action movie as an animation of Night of the Living Dead, George A. Romero's original 1968 horror film that sparked everyone's love for these ghastly brain eaters. This movie will be called Night of the Animated Dead. Will be directed by Jason Axon and released by Warner Bros.
That sounds like a play on words, but also very, very fitting to the fictional meaning behind it, because the Living Dead are really animated corpses.
Yep.
But we're also playing on words with the idea that this is going to be animated, right?
Yeah, it's going to be animated. And I was looking at some of the pictures of some of the stuff they have already. I think I might enjoy some of the animation. It'll be cool.
Is there something we can compare it to for our listeners? What's the animation style like? Is it really unique, or?
I will try to find some more screenshots of some of the stuff they've already got done, and I will try to get them to you so you can link them in the video.
Okay, yeah, well, or I may even add them to the post edit if possible.
Yeah, but it's got a pretty cool cast of voice actors. I didn't get a chance to look these guys up, so I don't know if you want to look them up real quick while I'm talking about them.
What's the series called?
The voice actor for this. The series is it's not a series, it's an actual movie. Night of the Animated Dead. I know a few of the people, and I can name where a few of them come from, but
2021. Oh yeah, no, you were reading some of this earlier. We've got some very recent actors getting involved in this. We've got Josh Duhamel,
uh-huh.
Dule Hill, Catherine Isabel, Katie Sackhoff, who mentioned her.
Yep.
And Jimmy Simpson. I recognize his face. I'm trying to place him specifically recently, but they're all doing voices for this.
Yep.
Oh, I've totally seen him. He was in Westworld season 1. Jimmy Simpson. Yeah, he was in Westworld season 1 and a few other things. But that's where we've seen him recently. And Josh Duhamel is actually, guys, check out our TV Talk episode this week. We're actually going to talk a recent Netflix series that he's leading in. So we'll get more info on Josh Duhamel later. But Night of the Animated Dead, 2021. That's what we're looking at, sir. So that's pretty exciting. And also, this is interesting. You said there was a couple other things coming out of this.
Oh yeah.
George A. Romero, basically the grandfather of zombie films, actually passed away in the summer of 2017. And very sadly, like, it kind of slipped through our fingers as far as pop culture conversation, because we were only getting into our first year as Nerdentials when he passed. So I'm not trying to make excuses, but we'll definitely have to do a tribute of him when some of this new material comes out. We'll have to do a tribute to him. But what else did we discover? I think there's some other stuff you read.
Yes. There is going to be a release. They're working on a movie. His wife, Suzanne Romero, has quietly been working with screenwriters on the script and is now working with directors on the last thing that George A. Romero was working on, Twilight of the Dead.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
That sounds cool.
So hopefully we'll see it soon on movies, and it will be a good homage to the grandfather of zombies, especially coming from his wife. So hopefully it'll be a work of love, which will be kind of powerful and poignant. So
absolutely, I think that'll be a lovely honor to the legacy of his work.
Mm-hmm.
Nick, did you have any other highlights for now, or should we?
I got one more thing. It's not really that big. It's during the last showing of one of the interviews with Vin Diesel about the newest Fast and Furious movie coming up. Someone asked him about if they're ever going to see anything more on Riddick. Vin Diesel has confirmed that Riddick 4 Furia, the script has been written and is ready to go, and they're planning on filming in Australia. So after
go ahead. What else?
I just think with everything he's been busy with Fast and the Furious and being Groot, he's got really long lines to carry over there.
Oh my gosh, yes.
That he's just been biding his time, getting things ready. But hopefully that will pan out to be an epic movie. I do know that this is supposed to be him going back to his homeworld that we've never seen before, and that of Furia will be showing all the horrors that led to what his people became.
Yeah, and dude, I just want to point this out there. Like, I think the casual moviegoer, or even the nerdy moviegoer that doesn't, explore every facet. That's what we try to do here is dig into some of the details of these interests and passions that we have for film and otherwise. But I think it's kind of something that maybe the average film goer is unaware of, is just how shockingly nerdy this muscle bound Vin Diesel actor actually is.
Oh, yeah, and it's not just him. There's a lot of people you wouldn't expect that are in Hollywood that are avid nerds. Like Joe Manganiello.
I love him. He did some of the cutscenes of Deathstroke. He was in with Channing Tatum in that male
Magic Mike.
stripper
Yeah.
movie called Magic Mike.
Well, both
Uh,
these actors are very big and muscular. They've been in a lot of action movies and stuff like that. But another thing they're actually known for within Hollywood is they are very, very big D&D nerds.
That's right, listeners. If you're not as nerdy as we are, or you're new to all this, that's tabletop dice rolling, role playing gaming with your friends. That's what that is.
I just want Joe Manganiello and Vin Diesel to know, if you ever want to be part of any of my D&D games, let me know. There will always be a spot at my table for you guys.
Always. But yeah, no, I just wanted to throw that out there because it's just always, I know that about Vin Diesel, but it always makes me take a mental double take because I forget that, like, he's in these action movies and that's what he's known for, and that's part, and that the reason I brought that up because I asked you about it's like I'm so surprised he's still so passionate about Riddick, even though they're not like AAA blockbusters, and you told me
Yeah, this
it's.
this was one of his babies. It's pretty much like the characters he built in D&D.
But that's what
And
I'm saying. That's
yeah,
the part I want to bring to light is that the Riddick is inspired by some of his nerdy, geeky D&D stuff. um, this is a good spot, Nick, for us to segue out of here.
fantastic spot.
All right, man. Well, we gave you guys a little bit of nerdy news, a little bit of current chatter. I know there's more on a regular basis. We will continue filling your ear holes in the first portion of this Movie Matters podcast with some nerdy news. Nick, I know. I
Your
know what I
your
said.
your ear holes, your sound orifices.
They're there, aren't they?
Yeah.
Guys, now is as good as any time to jump into, I guess, the core of our show. Guys, we're going to talk about Movie Matters. Welcome to Movie Matters, folks. Sorry, Nick. I do believe I cut you off slightly by throwing that stinger out there. That's the
I still appreciate you.
that's the give and take that you have to deal with when we're live. That's what happens.
The give and take, the ebb and flow.
Sometimes I take more than I flow. So sorry. So, guys, innuendos aside, we have a couple.
What's in your window?
We have a couple, Nicholas, a couple, two, three or so possible movie reviews.
Some good movies, yeah.
A few, couple, more than
yeah.
one.
I know. I'll get to writing some reviews for you.
Oh, you're right. There are some more movies we've watched that I need some writing on. Hashtag Nerdentials.com, Nerdentialsmedia.com. Sorry, you guys will see that at the Nick, could you point at the bottom of your screen, that corner, bottom of your screen, so people can know to look at right there? Yeah, right. Bottom. See how I'm doing this on my screen right there? Do that on your screen.
Oh, that one.
Yeah, that right there. See,
yeah.
If you could see it, it says right there at the bottom of the screen, Nerdentialsmedia.com. We'll remind you at the end of the show, guys, but that's also another outlet where literally everything you watch and listen is all in one spot. But the reason I bring it up is because we also have several tabs for reviews, and we are trying to pump out more frequently our movie reviews in written form.
Yeah, but
So, you
if
know,
you've been watching and we were pointing at the .com just a second ago and you didn't see where it's at, it's somewhere upon the screen, somewhere around here. Just you'll find it. Don't worry.
yeah, I'll either put a big arrow or I'll splash that up on the screen right now, right in the middle, right here, right in the middle. Uh, yeah, but guys, look at that for all your written reviews. Even though we do at length discuss them in a more deeper sense in the podcast. So, guys, first up, though, we have a film that came out. Now it's been a few weeks, but it's actually one of the many films that became available on HBO Max. And um, while there's mild controversy between directors, producers, and Warner Brothers proper, which is a separate topic we'll cover at a later time, this whole same day drop was kind of done without asking any of the directors or producers from any of these external production companies. I don't know if you knew that, Nick, but
I didn't.
Warner Brothers kind of went behind everyone's back under all the films that they were releasing to theaters, and Warner Brothers is like, "Yep, we're gonna make them available on our streaming platform." they kind of, yeah, there was no contracts or official discussions with anyone about it, so there was actually quite a few film directors that were pretty pissed off about it.
But if there was no clause saying they couldn't do it, it's their own
Right?
damn fault.
No, yeah. Obviously, it's still that's where the controversial aspect of it is. It's like, you know, Big Brother upstairs, Warner Brothers, Big Brother upstairs, play on words, took it upon themselves to distribute the films how they saw fit, without asking if any of the production companies cared about whether or not they would be compensated or would potentially take a loss by it not being widely shown in theaters. It's an ongoing discussion because of 2020, that a lot of different film industries are dealing with, unfortunately. But the consumer, that's us, Nick, and our dear listeners and viewers, we are the consumers, and we love and respect the artists that put their time, heart, sweat, blood, sweat, and tears into these films. But like, the fan in me is enjoying the ease of access, as unfortunate as it might be. And hopefully, Warner Brothers works something out in the future. Obviously, the pandemic is slowly diminishing, going away. Things are slowly returning to normal at this point, and a lot of theaters are starting to open back up with limited seating. But it's still opening up, and I myself actually went to the theater to watch this said film that was available, even though it dropped on HBO Max, and I have it, and I'm betting Nick probably watched it there just out of convenience.
I'm a cheap bastard.
Yeah, dude, no worries. It was one of those things that me and Amy hadn't been to a theater in over a year, and we decided this would be a great first time going back film to check out. So that
For
being
sure.
said, what Nick?
I said for sure.
Right. So as long-winded as that was, apologies, friends. We are going to cover The Conjuring. Officially the third one in the original Conjuring series of films. Doesn't say the number 3, but the subtitle is The Devil Made Me Do It. The Conjuring 3, The Devil Made Me Do It. I'll give you guys the lowdown, and then we'll talk feelings and ratings about it. It was directed by Michael Chaves, who's actually known for The Curse of La Llorona from 2019 and The Maiden 2016, not related to the franchise. Me and Nick have recently talked about going in depth later down the road on the whole Conjuring universe, because it's one of the rare properties in horror film that has such an extensive catalog of spin-offs that have also done well in their own right, but are still all kind of interconnected to each other, so they all kind of exist in the same world. This is the first of the 3 Conjuring films to not be directed by James Wan. James, did I get that right? James Wan?
Yep.
The original Conjuring director who put his very unique stamp on those first two films. And he never did any of the spin-offs. That's the other thing that people don't realize is he didn't direct any of the spin-offs. The spin-offs, in case anyone's wondering, include the Annabelle trilogy now. Now there's 3 Annabelle films. The Nun, and soon to be within the next year, I think the Crooked Man or something along those lines. It's another related connected, and La Llorona was another spin-off connected story that was related to it. But anyway, we'll dive in deeper at a later time, guys. This film stars Patrick Wilson. You may know him from such films as Watchmen, the Insidious horror films, or Hard Candy. I really like Patrick Wilson in this. Vera Farmiga, who plays his wife in these films. She's best known from films like The Orphan and the TV series Bates Motel, based off the 1960s film Psycho. That was also a really good show. I highly recommend anyone check that out. And then there were a few other actors, but the more recent coming into his own type actor who played the lead troubled young adult known at his name is Rory O'Connor. He has been in the 2016 Handsome Devil and 2018 Teen Spirit. So he's only done a couple films. So he's a young actor kind of coming up into his own. And he was kind of the main victim in the show. The synopsis goes as this. An event that shocked even our experienced real-life paranormal investigators Ed and Lorraine Warren, based on one of the most sensational cases from their files, starts with a fight for the soul of a young boy, then takes them beyond anything they'd ever seen before to mark the first time in U.S. history that a murder suspect would claim demonic possession as a defense. So there you have it, guys. This if you're not familiar with The Conjuring, the first all these films are based on the real life paranormal investigators by the names Ed and Lorraine Warren. Nick's actually done a fair amount of research outside of these films and looked into a lot of these things, and these were real documented cases. Now, in respects to Hollywood and filmmaking, the term based, I'm doing air quotes, based on a true story are often mildly exaggerated in some extents or take, certain liberties in the basis for those stories, to Hollywoodify it, if you will, to, make it more exciting and crazy. But a lot of these events are pretty accurately documented, and more than any other one up to this point, this third one was actually based on a true court case. And there's actually a lot about this court case that actually, for the first time ever, they actually showed in the end credits of this movie, they showed real, actual video recorded footage, because this took place in the 80s, so they actually had more access to filming cameras in the 80s to where you could actually have some of this actual evidence, like courtroom scenes, some of the exercising aspects of whatever they did. But true stories set aside, Nick, I kind of want to get your hot take on being, let's throw this out there, a new fan to this franchise of horror films. And I'd like to hear your quick backstory on what that means and how you felt about this edition.
I had heard Joe and Matt talk about the series quite a bit, and I never got into it until this one was about to come out. I felt, well, we're going to do a review on it, so our listeners deserve my full-fledged nerdy background into whatever I get into. And as you know from listening to stuff from before, I don't just get into any culture skin deep. So I watched Yeah, I watched every movie, every piece of media created within this universe from The Conjuring. All the side movies, even movies that weren't directly connected to it, but were based off of the Ed and Lorraine Warren uh, uh, cases. One to note that's not part of the universe, but is actually one of the cases. Very classic horror movie that everyone knows and loves, Amityville Horror, was actually based off of one of their cases. You actually see it highlighted in one of the movies. I think it's in the
Yeah,
first one, right in the
yeah.
beginning.
That's
Yeah.
funny. Yeah, no, it
Um,
is.
but no, and like I said, I did a whole deep dive into it. I went down the rabbit hole, so to say, with this. And for the first time, I actually got my wife to watch a horror movie with me. She watched all of them with me, and she hates horror movies. Uh,
Yeah,
but
dude. Right on.
it was chilling to realize that these were based off of true stories. And every time I watched one of these movies, I went and researched the actual true story behind it and all the stuff that went around it, the newspaper clippings. It's crazy. You can go through and actually like verify that this happened. It may not happen in the same way, but it did happen.
Like the
Uh,
core of
yeah,
core
no,
events.
it's
That's funny.
fantastically creepy and awesome.
So,
And yeah,
yeah.
no, I enjoyed the hell out of these movies, and especially this one.
So, I'll give a quick background myself, and then we can jump into our rating for this. Um, I've been watching them since, I mean, I guess since the first one came out, The Conjuring, because at the time, back in 2009, I my who is now my wife, I started dating at the time, and she was always a huge horror fan. Um, so it's no surprise that when this came out, yeah, back when the first one came out in 2013, surprisingly, it's only been 8 years, and all these films have come from it. But The Conjuring was the first one that came out in 2013, and I had already gotten married to I'd already been married for about 3 years at that point. So it was like a no question we were going to end up checking it out, and we ended up both liking it a lot. And then over the coming years, she rewatches horror movies all the time. So even if I don't, even if I'm not like seeking it out, I will occasionally sit down with her and rewatch ones that I've seen already. So I was definitely, I just kind of Nick is a fan that finally got exposed to it, and I've just been kind of this casual, ongoing fan of it. And over the last couple Annabelle films, I started growing a really like hardcore interest with like connecting the timelines of these films and like because all of them are related in one way or another and have ongoing either curses or hauntings that seem to carry through all of them, and the Warrens are heavily involved in at least over half of them, and the Annabelle series directly integrates with the Conjuring 2 as well, which is how they kind of started connecting those. And these spin-offs that they are talking about doing going forward, a lot of them are related to the artifacts found in the Warrens household. Like these cursed artifacts that they've locked up had priests, bless and pray over the locked room to keep these spirits locked away. And it's just kind of a crazy concept and crazy that it's a real world place and a real world couple that we're actually witnessing these things. But anyway, here let's get the hot take, Nick, and the rating on number three. Um, Number three, The Devil Made Me Do It. This is kind of the first time where they shifted from the previous two films where they were very heavily related to hauntings or being haunted by other demons, other dark spirits involved in said location. Same thing with Annabelle and that trilogy. It was related to the demon that occupied that stupid doll. And for the Conjurings, um, the Warrens visited a family in the first one, and the mom got possessed at the end of it, but it started out with like a dark spirit weighing down on the family that came into the home. And the second one, a little fuzzy on, but it is a very similar situation. A bigger family with like 6, 7 girls were going through a similar thing with a dark entity weighing heavily on the household. And yeah, so very similar, two different families, different settings and places, but very similar. And then this third one, it was another this child's possessed. It was another family being, tormented by a darkness. But this one, um, I don't know. I think it would have been fine had it just shifted to another character, which ends up being the young adult, the 20-something-year-old that they end up trying to help out for the majority of it. But then it turned into an interesting um, forensics murder mystery at that point, because he was the first person to be possessed that wasn't where the entity that was possessing him would disappear periodically, and so like he was able to like look and seem normal and remember things and talk normally, and then suddenly go nuts and kill someone. And this is a couple highlights I want to say without spoiling too much about this one, though, is they showed us some first person perspective shots from the perspective of the person who was possessed, and I thought that was very cool. And I definitely know that you can't really document that. So I know that even though it's based on a true story of a person possessed, that person didn't have a GoPro cam behind his eyeballs documenting what he saw while being possessed. So I thought it was a cool creative direction to kind of showcase what everyone sees in a room around him, and then quickly cut to him seeing something totally not happening, and then he gets violent and tries to help someone that's not actually in trouble, and that leads to him accidentally murdering someone. And that's what this whole movie is based off of, is the devil made me do it. He murdered someone, but he was not in control of his body. He was possessed. So this is a very unique take, and I really liked that was really weird, dude, seeing his perspective for a few minutes here and there, and then camera cutting to him being normal and everyone wondering why he's losing his mind.
Well, and it's not really a spoiler, because if you
That's what I
think
mean.
about it,
This is really
this is
early.
based off a real publicly
documented
trial of Arnie Cheyenne Johnson in 1981 in Connecticut.
Yeah. No, what I mean by spoilers is just like the movie as a whole. I'm not trying to,
No, I mean, you saying
the
he
ending.
murders someone. It's not giving away anything.
Oh no, the cool, even in the title and even in the movie description, when you read it, when you see a trailer, it's someone that's been accused of murder, and he claims it was the devil made him do it. Literally, he was possessed and he murdered someone.
Well, you say it was kind of weird that they went this whole murder mystery style.
Well, kind of, because they weren't dealing with one household that was possessed. That's where this had a unique, different. I didn't think it was bad that they took a different direction. It was just different from the formula.
This one, if you think about it, though, they had to take that formula. They had to change it because of the sheer fact that they had to document and go about this whole different way than they have any other case. For the sheer fact they were doing all this to exonerate a man that was possessed in the eyes of the law. Yeah. So the scrutiny was completely different. So I think it made sense the way they addressed it.
Oh, and yeah, I mean, for this particular case, but also to give a fresh story to the characters that we've been with for 2 previous films. Yeah. You can only rinse and repeat so many times, and some horror movies overdo it. Some are too long in the tooth. Anyway, I thoroughly enjoyed it. I could definitely tell it was a different flavor from the previous two, just by a little bit. It wasn't crazy dramatic, different, but I knew it wasn't James Wan, and there's nothing overly critical about that. I didn't dislike it at all, um, and it had some deeper character things for the Warrens that I don't know if were necessary, but I still enjoyed them, and I don't want to spoil that. But there's some stuff towards the end where their marriage is strengthened by the circumstances that happened, and it's really sweet and kind of poetic in a way. Don't know if it was necessary and kind of oddly placed, sort of, for a horror movie when you're looking at what is the goal of a horror movie, by the end of it. And I think it had an ending that was not necessarily normal or common for a horror movie, I guess is my point. So without spoiling it, I'm going to give it a 8 out of 10. I really liked it a lot. But I think a few things that I just mentioned caused it to fall short from being like a fan. Like if I'm looking for something bone chilling, I think it feels slightly shy of that. But it pulled off being a really great story, if nothing else. So I'll pass it off to you, Nick. What's your take and rating on it?
Um, the first time I watched it, I was trying to just concentrate through it and pay attention to it. And I have a tendency to pick apart movies, and that's why I have to watch them multiple times. But by the second time watching it, this one actually, bear with me, became one of my favorite of the whole series.
All right. Yeah, nothing wrong with that.
They addressed a lot of different things, and it was not just about demons anymore. They introduced a whole bunch of other things into the whole mix that are just as tied into that world as any of the other ones.
Agreed.
And it's it was crazy to watch it, and then go through and actually find newspaper clippings. You can actually find the court documents on this case. Like I said, I dove into a lot. Their museum right now, that room where they have all their junk, all their stuff from all their cases,
Yeah,
was actually a museum for a while, where people could actually go through and see all the stuff.
I know. I thought that was so crazy when you told me that for the first time.
Yeah, no, it's currently closed, because
And I'm really sad about that.
yeah, it closed after Ed and Lorraine both died. Ed died in 2006 and Lorraine died in 2019. No, was it 19? I think it was 19.
Not too long ago, she passed away last.
Crazy. Yeah, but they passed away, and the kids didn't want to upkeep that stuff.
Yeah, I know. It's so crazy.
But good news to all the fans of the show. Annabelle is not just out there in the wilderness and gone and missing and freaky stuff. Their oldest son actually is keeping Annabelle locked up in the box in his house.
Dude, regardless of how you feel about the validity of ghost hunting type shows, like the reality based ones, no, I'm throwing this out there to all listeners too, and you can chime in how you feel about this. But I've heard no rumors about this, but I would love to see that son sell off that doll to the Mr. Zach Baggins, the lead from Ghost Adventurers, because he runs a spin-off show where he buys haunted demonic items and Lorraine, and he interviews the people that had them or that he bought them from, and they'll sit in a room side, and facing each other like interview style in a dark room, and the object will be sitting in the room with them as they talk about it, its origins, where they got it from, and he keeps them in it's his own personal museum, and he actually buys lots of these different demonic possessed items from dolls to magic. I forget what kind of boxes they are, something box that's like locked away, some really creepy stuff. I would love to see them sell him the Annabelle doll and have that conversation. That'd be an awesome episode for him to do.
No, I just want to
Throw
say,
that out there.
uh, one of the reasons why it took so long to get into the series, because it was real, is because I'm one of those people that actually believe in ghosts and everything that it entails. Because I have personally lived through hauntings of homes I've lived in. So some of the stuff that you see,
Yeah.
almost gave me PTSD. It was crazy. Like we've woken up and we couldn't find my oldest sibling, and later in the day we find him tied up in his bed sheets in the attic.
Yeah, that's nice and creepy. Yeah, it's a little early for our Halloween special.
Yeah.
Kind of dipping into that.
You know what? I have it. It's going to be perfect. In the month of October, me and Joe will do a full dive into the Conjuring universe.
Hey, oh no, actually that would be great for October. Yeah, no, that'd be fun. Yeah, let's do that. We'll see if anyone else is up to date with all of those
We'll
films.
figure out the coolest way to do it.
Yeah, dude, I'm down for doing something creepy this holiday. Side note, for anyone interested, that show is only got 6 episodes. Maybe there's more online, but I'm reading right now. It's called Deadly Possessions, and it's hosted and produced by Zach Baggins himself. And it's described as fulfilling a lifelong dream of opening a museum in downtown Las Vegas full of the haunted and cursed objects
Does he live in a shire?
he has been collecting through the years. Each episode of Deadly Possessions features 3 haunted or iconic items and their owners.
Is his great uncle named Bilbo?
No, not Baggins, Baggans, Bagans. Sorry, I know it's. I bet he got made fun of going through high school or great middle school even. Anyway, guys,
Or
Nick,
adulthood?
Nick, we have traveled up and down the road of this a little bit, but what was your rating on number 3? What were your final thoughts on 3?
My final thoughts on 3.
I know you said it's your favorite, but what kind of christening does it get?
Creepy level, I will give it a 7 out of 10, and that's a high praise for me. But overall, for the movie rating, I will give it an 8.5.
Not bad, not bad. Because our ratings are very close. I just gave it an overall 8.
If you had to give it a creepy level from 1 out of 10, where would you put it?
I would still put it around 8. So like the storytelling elements and the creep factor still holds at an 8. I would say it loses half a point for the ending, because if you're going at a horror film with the idea that it should have some kind of traditional horror ending, then it kind of misses that. But as a film as a whole, it was a good, enjoyable story with characters I really liked. So that's why I give it an 8 all around. Since we don't ever typically break down genres, as might be an interesting topic in the future. Take a film and give a rating based on its genre. Like, did it meet the genre expectations? Maybe, but that'd get too nitty gritty. That's best saved for like deep dives. I think. which is why we just try to give it a general rating, a 1 out of 10 for all aspects of production. Guys, we're gonna review one more film. I think we got enough time for this. We're not gonna go. We went a little long on Conjuring, but we have a little bit of time because me and Nick both checked out this next film. So we felt let's balance it out: an adult film and
Hey, 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 hey.
family-friendly film. No,
Silencio, Bruno. Let's just get in it.
Silencio. My bad. All right, guys. Disney and Pixar have released another wonderful title from Pixar Studios, and I think it's so funny, and I kind of wonder where they find the balance here. But like Disney Animation Studios and Disney Pixar Studios are two separate studios. I just want to make this clarification. And stuff that comes out of Disney Animation, I don't know what's up their butts or why they think they need to make back their extra buck, but like anything from Disney Animation Studios, they lately, over the last two films we've touched, Mulan live action, Raya and the Last Dragon, those all required a premium $30 cost just to see for the first 30 days that it was live, because they want to get that ticket money back because not everyone's going to theaters still.
Because Disney proper is the prodigal son that they're backing, and Pixar is the redheaded stepchild that everyone still loves. It's just,
I was gonna say, well, while true, Pixar continues making gold, and they have for years, and Disney owns them, so essentially it's still part of Disney money that goes into Pixar. So that's where I wonder. I think they kind of like, well, these are Pixar films are maybe slightly cheaper to make. I don't know. And they think, well, if every other film we give away for free, we keep the people happy. So let's make it a Pixar film. Anyway, not complaining as much as I'm more curious as to why they do it this way. But we reviewed Soul. Back in December last year, they released Soul for free right around the week of Christmas, and
I enjoyed the heck out of it.
Yeah, we reviewed it. We all talked about it on our podcast. And guys, here's their next Pixar film for free on Disney Plus right now, titled Luca. It's directed by Enrico Casarosa. He's born of Italian descent and known for his work in Coco and Incredibles 2. This is actually his directorial debut rather. He worked a lot in the art departments of previous films. He was a lead for a lot of the artwork with Coco and the Incredibles. Did a little bit of writing in some of those, and he worked on a couple other ones. He directed one short called something Luna. Apologies, guys. I'll throw a picture up real quick. Boom. There's his short that he directed. But this is his first feature film that he's directed. And the starring cast for at least the main kids and a couple of the adults, we have Jacob Tremblay. He's been in a lot of things. He still looks like a little kid no matter how long he's been working. I think he's a teenager now, like late teens, but he still looks like a little kid. He's accompanied by another kid by the name of Jack Dylan Grazer. Emma Berman played the girl. So those were the two boys that are best friends, the girl. And then we have some more well-known people. Maya Rudolph, she's known from SNL and Bridesmaids, and in a couple other things recently. And then Jim Gaffigan came in for, I think, the dad's voice.
It was.
Yeah.
He was the dad.
Yeah, I loved it. So here's the synopsis, guys. The story goes, a young boy experiences an unforgettable seaside summer on the Italian Riviera filled with gelato, pasta, and endless scooter rides. Luca shares these adventures with his newfound best friend, but all the fun is threatened by a deeply held secret. He is a sea monster from another world just below the ocean's surface. Dun, dun, dun.
Holy carp!
So, guys, this film is filled with heart. It's filled with the very classic stamp of Pixar storytelling. It's got culture. It's got all the spice of a unique culture, and they've every recent Pixar, and I'll give Disney Animation Studios credit too. Their last few films have also done a good job of showcasing cultures they've never done before. And this one is freaking Italian hardcore. Maybe you could say there were some stereotypes in here. I like the fact that Pixar gets away with that, but I also think they were pretty authentic to the culture. No, I mean the dad, when he was a sea creature at the beginning of the film, that's a freaking Mario dude. That's a Mario character. And if not him, then the girl's dad with the missing arm, and they make pasta. Like, I mean, I'm not saying there's anything wrong with leaning heavily into their culture. I wasn't offended. I love Italian crap.
I'm Italian.
Or, not crap. I love Italian food, period. But
I am Italian, so
good for you, sir. I don't have a lot of that, but I still enjoy everything they offer.
What's the matter with you, stupido?
So, guys, not to go super deep into this, but it starts off with a boy and his family, and it kind of has this Little Mermaid aspect to it, where he dreams of seeing the surface world, of life in the ocean is so boring to him, and he wants to go on adventures. And the family's like, no, 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 like everything's dangerous. It's a totally like brief.
It's like Nemo with mer people.
It's a brief retelling. It's Little Mermaid. It's Finding Nemo. It's stay away from the surface. And I know they don't really explain the magic behind it, and it's kind of I would say it's kind of a throwaway aspect to the plot. It's not critical per se.
I actually don't think it's a throwaway. They answer it very shortly, actually.
Do they? Because
it's not really a gift. Like a.
It's like when they're wet, they have the appearance that they start the film out with. They're sea creatures, but the moment they dry out in the sun, they take on a human appearance. Fins are gone and everything, and they look like humans. So
what I was going to say is,
what does that?
It's not really a spoiler. You see in the previews,
Yeah.
the town that they actually go and visit, that's right next to where they're from, in the water, is a town that's known for hunting sea monsters.
Yeah.
There's murals of.
Yeah. No, I know. That's throughout. Everyone knows that, like throughout the town. They're all.
And I'm pretty sure that's why the parents are like, "Don't go to the surface. They kill you."
No, I understand that. So my question was, what's the magical aspect that allows their appearance to change? And they don't even know. They suddenly discover they're human, and as soon as they get wet, their fish side, their sea creature side starts showing, like they get exposed through rain or water. There's nothing really specific in the plot that I'm aware of that explains why they're able to look human while they're dry, and why when they get even a little bit wet, that's what I said. It's a throwaway
You've never
aspect.
seen Splash?
Pretend that I haven't, Nick. Pretend that everyone listening right now hasn't.
Old school movie with mermaid that whenever she gets wet, her tail just flops out and she's flopping on the ground now like a fish.
Okay.
But when she's dry, she's perfectly fine.
Now, while that's a great reference to some old story, there was no explanation behind it, right?
Does there need to be? It's a children's movie that is meant to be magical and fantastical. That's what it was.
Hey,
you have a Bruno in your head. Say it. Silencio Bruno.
Very cute. Hey, real quick, just to clarify and move on, it was the nerd side in me that just wanted to throw that out there for a brief conversation's sake, and it's also why I led with, I think it's a throwaway aspect to the plot, and by throwaway I mean it's just a silly thing that's part of the plot with no explanation. It's just in there because it's for kids and it's magical. Just accept it how it is.
I'm not gonna lie. I would really love to see what would happen if his uncle went to the surface.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, grandma turned out normal and well, I was sorry. I don't try not
Yeah,
to spoil much, but
yeah.
the humor in this movie was as good as it typically gets, dude. Am I right?
No, it was cute and it was endearing. I don't think it was making stereotypes. I think they were just sorry, diving into that culture and
Yeah.
shining light on it. And it was
I
it was
wasn't trying to make any sort
it
of
was
weird
beautiful.
argument about it. Yeah.
Yeah.
I wasn't trying to be argumentative about it.
And now I want a Vespa.
Yeah, I definitely would enjoy one of those. But on the surface, though, pun intended, I guess. Um, guys, this film is enjoyable. I think it's super family friendly. There's nothing crazy that parents need to worry about. There's nothing super violent. There's nothing even controversial. It's just a very wholesome story about really um, two friends that are really close and deeply care about each other. And there's some real deep emotion stuff there, but it's very typical for I think the age range, the 10 to 12-year-old age range. I think is what these characters were portrayed as. And it was just really sweet. There's some mild bullying, but they handle it well. The kids handle it well, and it's filled with humor all around. And there's a very family friendly message at the end that's not anything specific. It's just you know be nice to one another and love each other for who you are. I think the bigger message was accepting you for who you are was the biggest message here because and they portray that through being a sea creature and being hated when they anyone discovers that that's what they are. Without spoiling anything, it was a sweet message and it was clean. It was a clean movie. And it's on Disney and it's free to watch if you have Disney Plus. Nick, okay. Okay, let's
Well, to wash it down, what rating would you give this movie?
Well, Nick, to wash down everything that's been said, I give it a 9 out of 10. Great animation, fun, sweethearted, wholesome. No real complaints on it. It was. I don't want to give it anything lower because it doesn't necessarily deserve a lower rating, but it also wasn't like, I don't know, heartbreaking, groundbreaking per se. It's just another classic Pixar film that deserves your time and it's good for your kids. So I give it a 9 out of 10. Watch it with your family. Enjoy it. Nick, what would you say about the film? A quick summary with a number.
Quick summer. I enjoyed it. It was cute. My kids loved it. I had them running around the house for about 4 days, just yelling "Silencio, Bruno." Um, it's very quotable. There's a lot of quotable lines in there.
Yeah. Surprised you haven't said any more than that. That's definitely not the number one.
Yay! We're not dead. Yeah, no. It's a very quotable movie. It was cute. It was endearing. It was memorable. The the friendships, the relationships, the rivalries, they all bring heart to the movie, and it's great. And uh, there there's very few aspects of the movie I like, but the ones that I didn't like were kind of jarring, and I wish they would have dove into it more. Mostly not backstory, but I think they could have done more to dive into how the rest of the world views this, or if they know about it, or if it's just this town. Um,
Well,
the
Nicholas,
the story of some of the characters that were shown at the end of it. Uh,
yeah,
the the idea of It just it. I know they said they were going somewhere, but it kind of left it way open ended. You don't. There was no finality to the movie. So maybe that just means they're going to do a sequel. So I'll just hold my breath. But because of that, I would give it an 8 out of 10. Other than that, I loved everything about the movie, and it was great. I really enjoyed it. My kids really enjoyed it. You will enjoy it. Your kids will freaking enjoy it.
I did. My kids did. And you out there, viewer, will also, is what Nick was trying to imply.
Exactly. So get out there and watch it. Why are you still watching this? Go. I'm joking.
Go check it out.
Please
go now.
We want you here.
All right, guys. This is going to wrap up our Movie Matters episode, guys. Podcast number 114. Guys, thanks for watching. If you've made it to the end of this, hit that like button. We are on YouTube, and hit that subscribe button if you're new to our Nerdentials podcast channel. Links will be down below, of course, upon seeing this and everywhere else that we put our links. And just a shout out to check out all our channels. We've got, trailers, podcast, and gaming stuff as well on our main original Nerdentials channel. That's now called Nerdentials Gaming. Anyway, throwing all of that out there. Guys, thanks for joining us. This is Monday, and we are still trying to put out our TV talk and our gaming bits on Wednesdays and Fridays as best we can. Nicholas?
And whether anyone else is going to be here, we'll keep the ship afloat.
Yep, we'll keep the ship afloat, and hopefully they can ship themselves back to us at some point. Guys, I'm gonna leave it. I'm gonna leave you now. I gotta get it out of the way. Nick, thanks for joining me, bro.
Always.
Guys, for myself and Nick, this has been your Nerdy Essentials. And as always, nerds, we'll see you on the other side.